We have something exciting, but I can only say it's going to be exciting because I can't really give you all the details or really any details because it's not public yet. We're always exploring new ways to help companies create career paths through training and certification.
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the pest and lawn industries, and we take you to the front lines to those that are driving those changes. I'm Donnie Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, which has Triangle Pest as well as Triangle Lawn. And with me is, are you in Florida yet? Florida's
No, I will
newest.
be leaving in 10 days. That's why I put my boat out of the water. I will tomorrow or the next day. And then I have to go to Florida and get into the golf thing, So,
oh boy, Mr. Dan Gordon. Dan, would you like to say good afternoon? Introduce our sponsors, introduce our topic, and our very special guest. How about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Dan Gordon, PCO Bookkeepers and M&A Specialists. We are CFOs to the pest control industry and provide exit planning services. And if you like the podcast, we would appreciate if you supported our sponsors. So if you're interested in marketing, we work with Coalmarch by WorkWave. And if you want more information, that would be coalmarch.com. And if you're interested in industry-specific insurance, PestWorld, they provide auto, GL, workers' comp, EPLI, and several others. And you can see them at PestWorld.com. And if you're interested in joining a PMP industry insider peer group, please visit pmpindustryinsider.com/peer groups, or go back to episode 136 and listen to David Billingsley, our facilitator, who we've got probably about 60 or 70 people now, and that works pretty well. And today we're going to be talking about, today we have a very special guest, and if you're going to attend PestWorld in Denver, you'll want to listen up. We have Dominique Stumpf, CEO of NPMA, and she is here today to discuss what we can expect from the show. And I have to tell you, every year I attend the show, and there's probably been about 25 of them now, it never disappoints. And Dominique and her team do an amazing job putting it together. And welcome, Dominique.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. So let's get into it. So PestWorld 2024, it's in Denver. Where do you want to start? I mean, for me, I'm planning on going, of course. And I know the venue this year is quite nice. So maybe we should start there.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, first, thank you for your comments, Dan, about PestWorld. It's, certainly one of our biggest prides, if you will, for the association. And for me personally, I think PestWorld is an illustration of the industry and how we represent, professionals. And so for me, when we build the show, when we build the feel, the look, what we want every person when they arrive is to be like, I've arrived, I belong to a really cool, professional and leading industry. And, when they're looking next door at the doctor show or anything else, right, that happens to be in the convention center, that they walk away going, you know what, we're pretty good. Like, this is a great place to be. So I'm very keen on making sure people feel proud of the work they do in the industry they belong to. So with that in mind, so this year, PestWorld 2024, Denver. I mean, first of all, the first time the association's ever gone to Colorado. And so we're really excited about that. We think, it's a great accessible destination. It's beautiful. I mean, I don't know anybody that goes to Colorado and says it isn't just a beautiful place. And the Gaylord Rockies is an amazing resort and convention center. But when you're outside, which we do have some events outside, which is exciting. So you'll be able to see some of the beauty of Colorado. I mean, it's just going to be spectacular. I would expect the weather to be lovely and nice, kind of that cool fall feel. So I'm looking forward to that after suffering too many days in the hundreds here. Record attendance. We're expecting our 4,000 is kind of our record. We've hit it a couple times, probably like 4 or 5 in the last decade or 15 years. I have to take COVID out of there. And so we're definitely expecting to get close to that 4,000. So that's super exciting. Our exhibit hall is the largest sold out space, or we're nearly sold out. We have 269 exhibiting companies. And that just really speaks to, I'm sure you guys have been around a long time. When we started, when I started well, 25 plus years ago, it was a lot of more manufacturers and distribution and just more to kind of the chemistry side of our business. And now it's just influx with business services and things that just really help companies be more professional, more, using technology and all the things that will make them advance in their companies, and grow. So it's exciting to see that evolution, and it just continues, building every year.
And
With
it's
the
no
technology
easy
side.
feat to get the to get your booth every year. I have to go through a lottery, and I get better and better each year because we've been attending for so long, and I wait for that lottery to happen, and I'm right on it with the email. So, but
It's a process.
yeah, it is a process, and you guys run it pretty well. It's pretty neat. But so tell me, last year was Hawaii. It was, totally different feel. What, besides the weather, what do you think will be different about this year?
Well, first, I just want to say the two top things about PestWorld, it doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing, is going to be the exhibits, so the trade show, all the innovations that come with this industry, and networking. So with those things in mind, obviously we're keen on making sure we highlight those. And of course, education is not a far third. New this year, though, feeding off the location, we are launching the NPMA Basecamp. So I don't know if you were in Boy Scouts, I was in Girl Scouts. So this is kind of a nostalgic thing. So we're really kind of, grabbing onto that as a theme, and we're doing some fun and different things. So that's really about what we call like the NPMA booth, our member center. So we're creating fireside chats. And those are going to be opportunities for attendees to come and learn and engage with our leaders and staff, just learning more about ways to get involved, and taking advantage of our various business and technical resources. So we're really excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And let's see, I wanted to make sure I mentioned committees, meetings, board meetings. Those are all open door. Like, we really, when talking about getting involved, show up, just come in, sit in, listen. If there's room at the table, you're welcome. So want to encourage folks to do that. And
that was one of the areas that, so tell us about some of the committees that if I'm new to the industry or new to NPMA and I want to get involved, where would you start and how would you get involved, and what's your recommendation for, just
sure.
to get.
Well, I mean, I would always suggest like the NPMA Board of Directors meeting, right? Just because you're going to get an overview of everything, but we don't go into everything. So, if you're really keen on specific things, that kind of requires you to come in early too. So that's certainly something to think about. But committee meetings, I think, really honing in on what your interest, your specialty is in your business. For example, if your company is really into wildlife, or you're interested in learning about how to get into wildlife services, go to the wildlife, committee meeting. The business innovations committee, if you're really focused on business, like innovation, technology, you'll want to go there. And for me, that's the catch-all a little bit, particularly for business owners that are maybe not the bug guys, or bug girls. And so I think that one is really, and that kind of was our business development and technology committee merged into one. So they've been doing some really cool, exciting things coming out. Trying to think what else is, we actually are just launching, so it's new, so they're figuring themselves out, but a sustainability working group task force. So that's going to be interesting, and certainly welcome folks to come in. That will be posted on the schedule. And one of the things I was going to bring up is we just hosted a sustainability summit with a small group of leaders a couple of weeks ago. And it was such an interesting dynamic and kind of exciting conversation, because I think people get really nervous in this industry about talking about what that means. And in this conversation, people embraced it, but mostly because we're doing so many great things as an industry already. We just don't know how to tell the story. And there was definitely a recognition of how can we do better, and how can we help everyone do better in a way that makes sense for them and their business where they are. So I think I was really encouraged by that, and look forward to sharing more about that. I keep talking about that for the whole 40 minutes, so we should probably stop there.
Well, I have a quick question. So let's just say we have a listener that's maybe never been to PestWorld. What would you say are okay, this is your first time, and I know we kind of talked about that, but what are the kind of the must events that you feel like, if you're going to go to PestWorld, these are the events you need to be? Obviously, we talked about networking, we talked about the vendors, which I think I agree. Even going back to what we talked about before, there's just been this massive shift from manufacturers to technology.
Absolutely.
I just see a ton of tech companies there now. But what would you consider to be okay, this is your first time going to PestWorld. here's some things that you need to make sure that you go to attend and do while you're here, because you're going to get the most benefit out of that. And I mean, again, I'm sure you probably look at this like you do your kids, right? I don't pick favorites, but if you had to pick, what would it be?
Well, we actually just launched a whole new, I should say, an improved first timers experience. And that's led by Allie Allen on our team. And so at first I would say, when you get that email that says, hey, you're a first timer, I have something to help you through this experience, acknowledge it and participate in it, because we're going to schedule special meetings for first timers. We have an orientation the first day, and really just show up and they'll help you through any questions, but also give you highlights for the whole program. But if I were to say, without that experience available, I would say definitely go to the opening ceremony. I think you'll have an opportunity to hopefully meet some folks there, kind of get energized, and kind of then you're almost in the traffic flow, right? You're on the beltway. Then you're just like going from there to the trade show. And then we have lots of open networking events. I encourage you to pick one or two and just show up and be there, and just, grab 3 people that you just want to meet, and maybe make a connection that's valuable to you personally or your business. So really kind of jump out of your comfort zone and don't be overwhelmed. I think a lot of first timers are. And I think, if they can just kind of get that comfort space and that first day, that really says a lot. And hopefully this first timers orientation will really help them do that when they get there.
For our listeners, I just want to echo what Dominique just said. You absolutely should attend the opening session. I've been very impressed, and I genuinely mean this, with some of the speakers that you guys have gotten in. Just an opportunity to hear people speak that I would not normally be able to see. It's been great. So definitely would echo that for sure. Do that. And for me, I'm a big fan of PestWorld for the networking piece. Obviously, I get to see a lot of friends, and some of the friendships that you make there. It's super nice, because going forward in the year, you can pick up the phone and call someone if you got an issue, or you want to talk.
That's unique about this industry. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll list one networking event, just so if somebody's like, but which one, Dominique, which one? Go to In the Mix. It's on, I want to say it's Wednesday. But it's an open invitation. It's really meant to foster folks interested in our Communities Plus diversity group, Pest Vets, the Leadership Networking Council. And then Professional Women. So it's hosted by all of them, but it's really open for all attendees. I think if you look at those 4 groups, you're gonna be like, well, I'm sure I fit in there somewhere. And it's meant just to build networking and
is that in the afternoon or after?
It's in the
evening.
Sessions, it's after everything's over. Yep. And it's going to be, it's been one of the awesome events for the last few years. And I expect this one to be really cool. It's in the pavilion right there on property outside. It's going to be spectacular.
So let me ask you a question. So there's really, as I see it, there's 2 tracks. There's a technical track and a business track. Which has been the most popular over the years, and which, I know that there's a lot of
that has had
entomologists and whatnot, and whatnot, but
it's an interesting conversation. So we have 74 sessions this year. 50 of them are eligible for CEUs. So you would think the majority of them are probably technical. And that's the driving force of what people are interested in. But I'm a believer, but I also would say our business classes have grown. We do have a good amount of them. And some of the business actually do get CEUs, so not to make that completely misleading. But I think those tend to be super well attended. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on who you're talking to, Dan, really. I think the business ones are the ones that are really most, kind of embraced and talked about. But then I think there's a lot of people that's what they expect when they get to, a show that's for structural pest management. I want to hear more about bug technology and innovation. So I would love to see industry embrace more on the business, more just for that CEU thing, because I think also people are ingrained with the idea that I have to go get my CEUs if I go to a show. You know what I mean? Or just the idea of I could get all my CEUs while I'm here and it's done. I don't have to stress about it for the rest of the year. And that's probably true, but then you're missing an opportunity, right, to maybe attend some of the other things. So I wish industry, the regulations would allow a little bit more embracing of CEUs for business sessions, because I think those are just as important for running a successful business in the pest control industry.
Right. Right.
So we'll be doing a session on KPIs. So just come on over, and we're happy to. Selfless
Shameless.
plug.
Shameless. It's not
selfish.
No, it's not selfless.
Shameless plug.
It is absolutely shameless. Okay.
Selfish.
So, yes, let's switch gears a little bit, because obviously PestWorld is about, obviously our industry, but it's also, about the association and kind of what we're doing together as an association. So can you just bring everyone up to speed on kind of what's been happening at the association, what's going on in the industry, just kind of a big picture? I think it would be helpful, especially for those that are attending, because I think it would help drive a lot of the conversations going on. Can you just kind of bring us up to speed with that?
Sure. Just a few things I want to highlight. First, I talked a little bit about the Sustainability Summit. So that will continue in a conversation. You'll hear it pop up here and there in the education program, whether it's the task force or other things we talk about. So stay tuned on that one. Our workforce development program continues to grow. I think we're now in our 4th official year. Really excited. The expanding job board, which is really just a launch pad for people to really see all the amazing opportunities and experiences for somebody in the pest control industry. But we're also one of just a few trade associations that have an official partnership with the Department of Defense through their Skill Bridge program. And that's where they bring exiting, veterans as interns into pest control companies, and they can serve for 6 months. So I'm sorry, they work for 6 months with the pest control company, and the Department of Defense pays for that through this program. So you're getting somebody in your business, learning the business, and hopefully, somebody that's going to stay. So we've had our first few candidates that came through the program. So they just launched last year, and they have chosen to stay with the pest control companies.
Wow.
So it's just a wonderful program. I mean, for so many reasons, helping veterans when they come out, find a place. I think we all agree this industry has so much to offer that really resonates well for veterans. And, as an industry, we are very much embracing of veterans and supporting them in their communities. So that's super exciting. And you'll definitely hear more about that. We have something exciting, but I can only say it's going to be exciting because I can't really give you all the details or really any details because it's not public yet. But as we continue at professionalizing, the industry and just our journey as an association, we're always exploring new ways to help companies create career paths through training and certification. So again, can't disclose details today, but at PestWorld, I'm definitely going to be announcing and sharing a new program that we're launching, and we're really excited about it and know that will make a positive impact for folks in the industry.
And that's on existing employees, or you don't have to, or is it on folks that you're recruiting?
It's going to be for professionals. It's going to be for pest professionals.
Okay.
How's that?
And that was a good sidestep.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
It's going to be for folks in our industry, Dan. Just move on.
Doesn't matter which one. And I can see you're going to take all the veterans coming out, and they're going to be working for Triangle. And
hey, listen, that's
having the DOD pay for their salary.
I like that. Who wouldn't sign up for that? I mean, listen, I am a huge fan of veterans, for obvious reasons. And I mean, that sounds amazing. So I'm certainly going to learn more about that. I think it's a fantastic program, especially if we could get more involvement in that. I mean, I think it would be a great thing for our industry. Obviously, we know if you're riding shotgun in a company, we all know that labor is a huge issue in our industry.
It's the overarching thing.
And it's not going away. Right. It's not going away. And so it's just like, I would much rather us be proactive and doing something as an industry versus just being reactive and trying to piece it all together. So I think that's an amazing thing for our industry. Any regulatory things that are coming up, or
those next on my, I should mention it if you ask.
Yes.
So we'll start with public policy, which typically means legislative, your elected officials, etc. So, we continue, I think everybody knows, we're really keen on working with industry allies and creating opportunities to really drive success at home here in DC, but also in the States through that advocacy working together. and developing those relationships with our lawmakers. So that's, our members, whether it's up on the Hill for legislative day or in their communities going and visiting, whether it's state capitals or in their regions, really making those personal connections that we're real people as an industry, making a very positive impact and making that personal connection so they can have a better understanding of the value that we are, to public health and property. So, specifically, I think everybody knows we've been working super hard on the farm bill. It's like the ongoing marathon with never having that. They keep moving the finish, just keep pushing it back. So we're really looking forward to that coming hopefully to fruition in 2025. As of early this week, if you've been listening to the news, we know the budget hasn't passed. The one they kicked down the can, they already kicked down the road. And they talked about putting a farm bill extension of a year in there, which would have created just a further, I guess, kick, if you will. But now they're saying it's not going to be permitted. It's not going to be put into the extension. So that's actually a good thing for us. So while we say it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen, we anticipate with the election, Republicans gaining a majority in the Senate. This is all just speculation, so don't hold us to anything, to the number, and then holding majority, basically there's a lot of Democrats up for re-election. And if this happens, the House will remain Republican, and we feel really good based on our relationships developed working with Senator Boozman and Congressman G.T. Thompson to pass preemption next year.
But by the way, we're talking about PestWorld, but probably one of my most favorite events and most important is Legislative Day. And so maybe we can have you back to talk about that in March or February before that, because that's a really important one. And it's always, it's an outstanding show. It really is.
Sure. And I guess I should say, maybe, I don't know if anybody's talked about preemption before, what the farm bill is about, just so as a footnote, if you will.
I think everyone's talking about preemption, but go ahead,
I think you always want to sometimes.
Yeah.
I think people, Google still doesn't know what it is or whatever, the typo stuff, because they don't like the spelling of it. But it's basically us getting a federal bill in place that allows the states not to have the states to manage their own regulatory issues, but not all the different municipalities. So for example, in Maryland, like it depends on what county you're in or what, even small townships you live in, and they could change the rules on you. And it's literally across the street, your neighbor could, have different rules in place for what type of products could be used, pesticides, et cetera, and the application there versus across the street. So we're trying to basically make it easier for the industry to operate and establish that, we are professionals, we're licensed, certified, and trained to do this, and you don't need all the different municipalities, changing the direction of that or trying to oversee what the states are putting in place. So federal preemption would be good for the states and good for federal as well.
Well, the funny thing is we've done 2 episodes now.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we've done 2 episodes now talking about the farm bill. And in both, we were like, it's going to get passed.
I know.
It keeps getting
it's a big one. It's you're driving around with a technician doing 10 stops, and he might have 4 different protocols that he has to adhere to, and it's kind of onerous. But so.
And I was just only gonna add one more piece since you brought up. So from a regulatory standpoint, so that's really when we're kind of really mostly talking about EPA. I kind of just, worked with our team and said, well, what does that look like? Where are we headed? Particularly if the Harris, camp stays in, or do we, if we have Trump come in, what does that look like? So if Harris administration stays in control, we just expect the agency to continue rolling out more extensive registration reviews of chemistries used in pest control. And that's what we've been seeing over the past couple of years with the Biden administration. If Trump administration sets up camp and comes back to DC, then we expect the EPA rulemaking process will slow down to Trump's previous administration's more manageable pace, which will allow for a more robust NPMA plus other stakeholders engagement. So a little bit more input and commentary period, and just really helping drive what the regulation could look like and having contribution to it versus it just kind of being slammed down on us. So that's just kind of a, an outlook, I guess, of what we see coming.
Gotcha. Cool. Well,
So-
we are getting towards the end here, but I do want to
I want to ask a just a more fun question. How big is the NPMA staff? And tell us about some of the behind the scenes, because if you show up, like we're a vendor, so we show up a day early, and we watch that trade room, the trade show room turn from this big, massive room with no personality into this really, really cool trade show. Tell us, how does that all go on?
Well, sure. So, NPMA, we have 32 professionals. When I say professionals, they're experts in their field. And so, we obviously have finance department and administration. So they really help keep our business in line and all the financial things that happen. Because I always say everything is either making money or spending money. So, we got to make sure we've got that in place. We have our advocacy public policy team really working hard with the federal and state, federal on our side, state associations working through our SPAR program. We have a membership department. Those are the folks that not just only handle invoicing and creating new membership opportunities, but also understanding our member benefits, creating innovative opportunities where we can grow our benefits, membership allies, affinity partners, etc. We have Quality Pro, which is our accreditation program. We have PMPA, and then we have our technical team and education and training. So and I would say all of them, including our meetings team, I probably forgot somebody, so I apologize for the group that I forgot maybe, they're all part of what we do at PestWorld. And that's like the coolest thing for us. Everybody has their own team building experience. For us, this is our team building experience. Everybody hands on deck, whatever it takes. And people are doing things outside of their expertise or maybe outside of their wheelhouse when it comes to what they were brought into NPMA for, and they contribute. So to your point, the meetings team leads us and they really lay down the floor plan and the footprint of what needs to happen. And we all kind of get our marching orders and say, this is kind of how we make it happen. And we all divide and conquer. And it should look seamless and feel like it. And I think, honestly, over time, it's not something, before I may have had sleepless nights about these kind of things. Now it's like, I just know it's going to run the way it does. And if a problem pops up, we have great people in place to just say, let's figure out a solution.
Figure it out.
There's nothing we can't just, make it happen. Obviously there could be something critical, but even then we have a plan. So it's exciting. And I'm sure I maybe was too broad in your answer there, Dan, but there's a lot of people that have their hands on it and really make it happen.
No, it's
team
an
and technical
amazing
team are key.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. Listen, I think you guys do a great job, and grateful, what the association does for our industry. And, obviously we're a huge fan, we're a supporter, and we support the association when we can, and just love the resources that you guys are putting out. I think they're very applicable and they're very useful in helping elevate everyone in our industry. And again, if you're listening to this, we've said this before when we've talked about PPMA and we've talked about NPMA. It helps for all of us to have a very strong association, and everyone should be supporting, because ultimately, if we get fractured, there's a lot of bad things that could come upon our industry. So grateful for what you guys do. And again, I think PestWorld is obviously the pinnacle of all that, and it's super, super useful, and grateful that you came on the show just to share some of your thoughts and kind of getting everyone ready for the big show this year, which I'm super excited about. Dan, anything to add here before we finish out?
I think that's it. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be there. We got a whole crew coming out. I think we have 12 people, and we've got a booth. Come visit us. I think it's 601, and another
shameless Dominique, thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
We are glad that you came on the podcast.
Yes,
look forward to having you back
absolutely.
in the future, and obviously if there's anything we can do on our front, just please let us know. So thank you for
Looking
being
forward
here,
to it.
Dominique. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity. I had so much more to share. So, hey, maybe we have to do a part 2 someday.
Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
do a part 2, and we should do one before legislative day. Really.
Yes.
That's a
For
cool
sure.
one. So
Excellent.
anyway,
Well,
thanks so
just
much.
remember that all the resources and topics that we talked about today are going to be available on the podcast website, pmpindustryinsider.com. Just take a look under show notes. We'll link up PestWorld so you can get registered. If you're not registered, you can learn all about the show there. And we'll also link up NPMA and maybe some of the resources that they have there as well. And as always, we appreciate any ratings and reviews that you have. If you have complaints, general complaining, we ask that you point that to Dan. And with that, we'll move on. See you all next time. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.